Hello, welcome to Lesson 2, Rumpelstiltskin. Yes, haha. I'm lucky I know that name. Well, let's talk about fairy tales. Give me a thumbs up or a thumb down. If it's thumbs up, it's yes. If it's thumbs down, it's no. Are the following elements of fairy tales about once upon a time? Yep, thumbs up for that. Magical characters like fairies. Thumbs up. Non-fiction. Thumbs down. Fantasy. Up. Greek gods. What? Thumbs down? No. Problems and solutions. Thumbs up. And in the end, you hear happily ever after. Thumbs up. Yes. Anyway, there's a word I want you to be listening for here, and the word is succeed. To succeed. All right, we'll come across that and a few others. Now, there's a spinning wheel involved in this one, so think back to the pictures in the last story we read, Sleeping Beauty. And remember that she stuck her finger on a spindle. So a spindle is something that's in a spinning wheel. And listen to a Rumpelstiltskin. Once upon a time, there was a poor miller who had a beautiful daughter. She was so beautiful and clever that he could not help boasting about her. Now, before we go any further, I want to let you know a miller is a person who grinds grain to make flour. The miller boasts or speaks very proudly about his daughter, saying that she's clever. To be clever means that she's smart and able to figure things out quickly. Like, you're clever. One day, the miller happened to come before the king. And to impress the king, he began boasting about his daughter. And before he knew it, he found himself saying that his daughter was so amazing and so wonderful, why, she could even spin gold out of straw. "That," said the king, "is a talent worth having. Bring your daughter to me and let us see what she can do." When the girl was brought to the palace, the king led her to a room that was almost full of straw. He pointed to a spinning wheel and said, "Get to work. You must spin this straw into gold by early morning, or else." The poor miller's daughter, of course she could not spin straw into gold. What could she do? She could think of nothing, and in the end, she sat down and began to cry. And that's when, all of a sudden, click, the door opened, and in walked a little man.
"Good evening, miller's daughter. Why are you crying?"
"Because," she answered, "I must spin all this straw into gold before morning, and I don't know how." Then the little man came close to her and whispered,
"What will you give me if I spin it for you?"
Why, I'll give you my necklace," she stammered. The little man took the necklace, stood at the spinning wheel, and whirr, 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 he spun, and by sunup all the straw had been spun into gold. When the king arrived at sunrise, he was amazed. But the sight of all that gold made the greed for more grow in him. So the king took the miller's daughter to a larger room filled with yet more straw and told her that she must spin all this into gold in one night. Again, the girl did not know what to do and sat down to cry when click, the door opened and in walked the little man.
"Crying again, I see," he said. "So I suppose you have to spin all this into gold too. What will you give me if I do it for you?"
"The ring from my finger," answered the girl. So the little man took the ring, stood at the spinning wheel, and whirr, 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 he spun, and by sunup all the straw had been spun into gold. When the king arrived, he was overjoyed at the sight, but hungry for still more gold. So he took the miller's daughter to an even larger room, filled with straw, and said, "Spin all this in one night, and if you succeed, well, then you shall be my wife." Well, to succeed means to do well or reach a goal. Do you think the daughter will succeed in meeting the king's demand? The king had hardly left the room when kalik, the door opened, and in came the little man, asking,
"What will you give me if I spin all this straw for you one more time?"
"I have nothing left to give," the girl answered sadly.
Then promise me this," said the little man. "Promise me that when you are queen, you will give me your first child."
The miller's daughter thought there was really very little chance that she would ever be queen, and so she promised, and the little man set to work at once. Do you think that promise is going to cause her any problems down the road? By morning, the gold was piled so high that it reached the ceiling. When the king arrived, he was pleased to see all the gold he wanted. He married the miller's daughter and made her queen. In a year's time, the king and queen had a fine little baby. She thought no more about the little man or her promise to him. Then one day, as she sat alone in her room rocking her baby, kalik, the door opened, and in walked the little man, who said,
"Now it is time for you to give me what you promised me."
The queen, filled with fear, held her baby tightly. "Please," she said, "I will give you all the riches of the kingdom, only leave me my child." But the little man said,
"No, I would rather have a living being than all the treasures in the world."
Then the king began to cry and wail, and the little man felt pity for her. Pity is a feeling of sadness for someone who's unhappy.
Okay, I will give you this one chance," he said. "In 3 days, if you can guess my name, then you may keep your child."
And he was gone as quickly as he had come. The queen lay awake all night, thinking of all the names of which she had ever heard. She sent a messenger to ride through the land and collect all the names that could be found. And when the little man came the next day, she tried all that she had been able to think of: Alexander, Balthazar, Caspar, Doolittle, Eggleston, Ferdinand, and many more. But after each, the little man only said,
"That is not my name."
The next day, the queen sent servants all around the kingdom to find the most unusual names. And when the little man came, she tried them. "Are you called Sheepshanks, Roast Ribs, Snickerdoodle, Groucho, Winklehopper?" But after each, the little man only said,
"That is not my name."
And on the third and last day, the queen was worried sick. She held her child tight and wondered what to do, when kalik, the door opened and in walked, no, not the little man, but the messenger the queen had sent in search of names. He bowed to the queen and said, "My lady, as I passed through the woods last night, I came to a high hill, and near it was a little house, and outside the house a fire was burning. And around the fire danced a funny little man, and as he hopped up and down, he sang, "Today I brew, tomorrow I bake, and then the fair queen's child I'll take, and no one can deny my claim, for Rumpelstiltskin is my name." The messenger left, and almost as soon as he had gone, the little man arrived. The queen greeted him by asking, "Is your name Jack?" "That is not my name." "Then are you called Harry?" "That is not my name." "Then perhaps," said the queen, "your name is Rumpelstiltskin?" "No, no, who told you that?" cried the little man, and in his anger he stamped with his right foot so hard it went down into the ground right up to his waist, and then he stamped with his other foot, and he went deep into the ground way over his head, and the queen and her child never feared him again. Well, that's some story, don't you think? Gee, I don't think that father should have boasted that his daughter was able to spin straw into gold. You know, that kind of got poor girl into a little bit of trouble there. I don't think that it was a good decision that she made to promise her first child to the little man. Because really, if you promise somebody something, you should do it. I mean, there's no two ways around it. I think that I don't know. What would you have done? Would you have promised Rumpelstiltskin what she promised? Well, in the read aloud you heard, "So the king took the miller's daughter to an even larger room filled with straw and said, 'Spin this all in one night, and if you succeed, well, then you shall be my wife.'" Say the word succeed. To succeed means to do well or reach a goal. Say it again. Succeed. Like, I knew Rory would succeed at earning a black belt in karate because she worked so hard. What kinds of things can help someone succeed? Yeah, like listening to the teacher will help you succeed. Not paying attention in class will not help you succeed. Finishing your work every day in front of the television will not help you succeed, but working on it carefully will help you succeed. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the story, and we'll be reading another one tomorrow.